I've had my ups and downs when it comes to Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox. I think that he's a good guy. I think that obviously him and I have had difference of opinions on certain things, and I don't want to like. Obviously, Phil is a great businessman. He's a person that has kind of pulled Xbox back from the brink, and I'm really respectful and thankful of that. There's other things like, I've always think that the idea of putting every single Xbox game on the PC day and date, there's always that part of me that have fought that and said, if you're not giving people a chance to, say that it's a system seller, like Halo, Gears, these things used to be system sellers. And even like Forza Horizon 3, I'm not sure if that was a day and date PC exclusive. I don't believe it was, but even that game, people were going out and buying Xboxes for that game. And clearly great games can help do certain things. I'm not saying that he was wrong in saying what he said or doing what he's doing, because he knows, he's the business, and they do have 120 million plus Xbox monthly active users, and that's counting like PC, mobile, and Xbox. But I do think that if you held back on the exclusives on PC, then it would make it so that people actually wanted to buy your platform. Because I'll be honest, I know more people right now who were all just Xbox. That's all they ever had, and now they game on PC. And you might go, well, that's fine. That's what Microsoft doesn't care. But the problem, there's a few problems with that. One of the problems is if the console itself isn't at least competitive in sales with PlayStation, then you could have developers not put their games on it, and that's sort of what's happening right now. Obviously, there's a lot of gamers out there who are saying if Microsoft does not showcase a huge, a great showcase, then they're going to be, SOL or shit out of luck, basically. And so I feel like there's a lot of people that are on Microsoft right now. They want Microsoft to showcase some huge games and stuff like that. They will. And I know what everybody thinks. They go, oh, well, we've heard that before. Or, it's one of those things where we get tired of hearing it. I get it. Trust me. I get that everybody is tired of hearing about, wait till this or wait till then, and, all this kind of stuff. Basically, though, this is the year. Like, we all sat there and would say stuff like, oh, wait till this E3 or what have you, right? And that E3 would come and go. And I was part of that, it wasn't, and I feel bad for the fact that, we were hyping up an E3s where there wouldn't possibly be any type of huge exclusives or anything like that. And the reason why there wouldn't be any huge exclusives is because they only had 4 studios at that time. Now, same thing with hyping it up over, I think, the past few years. Obviously, the pandemic going on slowed things down. That's not just an excuse. That's just the honest truth. You also had a situation where the games just weren't ready. The studios that Microsoft had, they just were not ready to go out there and produce games yet. But now we're in a different space, I think. It's like we're in a totally different space. Gamers, we should be able to get excited again about the E3s and the showcases and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully we are, and I see some people that are still like on that whole temper expectations thing, right? And I understand that, right? I understand we've been burned a lot before by Microsoft. We've been burned a lot in general. But I also think that it makes sense to be able to get excited again about this stuff because, for one thing, studios have had more than enough time to have stuff to showcase, not just CGI or whatever. So I think we are going to actually get like games and stuff like that, and that's going to be great. But there's people that say, well, if they don't deliver that, Phil needs to go, or Phil, like, listen, I've kind of covered this ad nauseum. I don't believe that it's one of those things where you go, oh, well, Phil has to go because of this, or this. I think Phil deserves a chance to do what he's been doing, like continue to push the video game stratosphere in that next level. I feel like he's doing a pretty good job with Xbox and things like that so far. Let's keep him on there. Let's see what happens, and let's see if we can't get some great games to play out of the deal, right? Like we suffered this far. It's like quitting. You're digging for gold or treasure, and then you quit like 2 feet from getting the treasure, right? I think that that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's one of those situations where, as gamers, we're kind of looking at this and going, listen, let's just get rid of Phil. Let's just, do this or that or the other thing. And I feel like getting rid of Phil at this particular time would be like the biggest mistake that we could make, for multiple reasons, because obviously, like I said, we've got a good chance of getting a lot of games. We could end this year on 3 huge exclusives that all have a chance to score in the 90s on Metacritic and really put a stamp on what Microsoft is trying to do. Now, listen, like I can tell you right now, you can kind of guess what games would be and make relatively good prediction on what games are going to score pretty well. Like, so many people are putting emphasis on score that's the reason they hated Redfall. I don't know for sure, but like for me, I feel like once a couple negative reviews start pulling in, other people start making negative reviews, and it kind of spirals. People didn't bother to play it a lot of the time. And yeah, that's a low scoring game, but I can tell you right now, Forza Motorsport is going to be a high scoring game, either high 80s or low 90s. Starfield, high 80s, low 90s. Again, Hellblade 2, that was an 88 on Xbox One X, right? That reviewed at an 88. It's easy to think that this one will too, or even higher. Right? Now, does that mean all the games that Microsoft has in the pipeline are going to do that? No. I could point to one right now and go, this one probably won't, but it's probably going to be a pretty fun game, and that's State of Decay 3, right? Those games are always kind of janky and kind of, have some issues and stuff. That game's probably going to score somewhere in the 70s, and people are going to start bashing Xbox again. It's ridiculous to think, but that's the truth. And now people are saying, oh, well, Phil needs to go, Phil needs to go. Like, every time they drop a game that's not going to be a 80 plus or whatever, people really think that Phil needs to go. That's the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life. And people really don't know what the hell they're talking about when they say stuff like that. I'm just being as honest as possible. It really does not have to be that way. Listen, Sony left the door open, just cracked enough for Microsoft to go in there and take care of business, and I fully expect them to do that. Microsoft knows what they got to do. They already before, listen, they're not going to go in there and change anything around. Whatever they had is what they had, and I fully expect them to go in there and just kick ass, and that's what they're going to have to do. They have to impress people. This is the one. I think just showcasing, doing the Starfield and Forza stuff, actually showing it and them getting release dates for this year is will one-up Sony completely. Anything on top of that is icing. If they happen to do Fable, Avowed, Hellblade 2, then wow, I think we're really looking at a huge deal with that, And there's a lot of people that are on Phil Spencer because he went out there and congratulated Sony on a nice showcase, and say that he shouldn't do that or what have you. But I think that's absolutely the wrong way to go about it, because at the end of the day, those showcases and him trying to keep and be a little bit civil, I think is smart. I still think that it was great what Microsoft did in terms of being able to go out there and kind of poke fun at them a little bit, which I thought. But he did say, hey, congratulations. Congrats to you and the teams on the showcase. I know a ton of work went into these shows, and it's fun to get to see what's to come. Nice kickoff to the show season. So again, yeah, Microsoft kind of reiterated that 12 of the games from PlayStation Showcase were confirmed. Him congratulating Sony has absolutely nothing to do with him being fired or anything like that. He could be just quietly confident in his own business, right? His own thing. And I think that's exactly what this probably is. There's nothing wrong with him going out there and saying, hey, nice job. I would 100% doubt, no matter how the Xbox showcase goes, that Sony would repay the favor in any way, shape, or form, because that's not Sony's style in the least. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to wait and see what Microsoft does, but I suspect that we've waited enough time and given them enough time for them to pull the trigger and make sure that they have a absolutely amazing lineup of games and things like that, depending on, what you're looking for. I know people are wanting Microsoft to have their own version of God of War. I doubt that happens. It's like people are putting on, like Avowed, for instance, is going to be a game that I think looks great, and they go, well, it's Obsidian Skyrim. Well, maybe, but it takes place in the Pillars of Eternity world, and a lot of people don't even know what that is, especially on console. So we'll have to see. I think, if you get a game that, believe it or not, even though I don't like just counting everything based on the score, if you get a game that scores very, very well and gets people's interest, I think that can change everything. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Phil should stick around no matter what? Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. I am Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.